Reds fans convince themselves this year will be different. This year, the pitching will hold up. This year, the young stars will take the next step. This year, meaningful baseball in September won't just be a slogan. And yet, here we are again. Another season hanging by the thread. Another season filled with injuries, inconsistencies, blown opportunities, and a fan base asking the same questions we've been asking for years. Who's responsible for this mess? Is it the ownership or is it the front office? Could it be Terry Francona and his coaching staff? What about the players? Or have we, the fans, became so loyal that we've just accepted mediocrity as the price of being a Reds fan? Tonight, we are handing out blame. And trust me, nobody's getting a free pass. Plus, Joe Burrow makes some interesting comments about this Bengals team. The USA advances in the World Cup. College sports may be heading towards another round of chaos. And we've got another trivia question for you. This is the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. Let's get into it. And welcome back to the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. This is episode number 174. Today, like I said, we've got a very interesting topics. The Reds, who's to blame here? You know, we've got the Bengals coming up. We've got the World Cup. We have a lot of different things that are happening. And, you know, it's been a while since we've been here. I've been on a little vacation, so I appreciate you hanging in there, tuning in to old episodes. But this one's going to be salty, as the kids like to say. So without further ado, let's just get right into it, son. He is Sam. I'm Dave. We're the hosts of the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. You can find us on all your podcasting platforms, plus YouTube as well. So let's go right into the Reds disaster, right? April started out great. May, we had some hiccups. You know, June, we're still, we're floating around 500 for the month of June. But, the big question is, we're 2-15 against the Central Division. We have, one more game against the Brewers tonight. And, we can't seem to figure out how to beat the Central. So I'm just going to ask it. Who's to blame for this performance? The front office, coaching staff, players? Let's take it one at a time. The front office.
They're all three to blame. I'm going to focus mostly on the front office and the coaching staff. They haven't developed anybody. I mean, outside of, I can think of three people that have gotten better since they've, each year. Hunter Green, but he can't stay healthy. Ellie has gotten a lot better since he got called up. He's probably the only bad. And then Chase Burns has gotten better this year, but it's still a small sample size with him. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, from last year to this year, in Green's case, 2 or 3 years ago, up until now, a lot of these guys are just kind of staying the same or regressing. I mean, McClain is awful. Marte can't get on the field when he does. He makes bonehead plays. Benson's nowhere to be found. I mean, he's a good ball player, but he was never going to be an all-star, and he hasn't, surprised us by turning into one. He's just a good, solid ball player, which is fine, but it's not like he's actually gotten better. So, I mean, you couple all of those things, some big free agent signings have missed with Candelario, and Suarez hasn't really done anything this year. Stevenson hasn't really been all that productive in his career here. There's just a bunch of guys that high draft picks, top-rated prospects that just haven't panned out. And it's just extremely disappointing, and it's just led to a bunch of mediocrity.
So let me ask you this, playing baseball, how you did, and, I played as well, and coaching now, the front office can draft guys. They can, put a timeline on when they can get to the show, right? And they can tell a manager, a lot of them tell a manager who to play because of analytics and things like that today. But to go back to your point is, some of these prospects that we have drafted, other teams really wanted them, who were behind the Reds when they drafted them. But yet, like you said, we haven't been able to develop these prospects into bona fide players. It's that hope that Cincinnati sells for us. The front office, right? Typical front office. they'd make a play for, a big bat, Kyle Schwarber, but they were never going to get Kyle Schwarber. So instead, they turned to Geno. And what happens when we have free agents come back to Cincinnati or come to Cincinnati? It seems like it's a death trap. I don't know if they're trying to hit too many home runs because of the ballpark instead of just playing the game. But you look over the last 10 years of free agencies, Moustakas was a total bust here, but he was actually really productive with the Royals and the Cubs before he came here.
Yeah.
That's why they went out and got him, because he was
Yeah.
very productive.
We were all excited when they did get him.
Right. And then he turned into a flop here. Candelario, I said from 3 years ago when they signed him, I said the only reason they signed him was so that they wouldn't.
So the Cubs didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. He killed us at the Cubs, and that's the only reason they signed him. But he was the only guy who I could think of that maybe met or exceeded potential was Castellanos.
Yeah.
And it took him year 2. Because year 1, he was,
Year 1 was the COVID year, though. So I throw that out the window.
Yeah, that is true. But then, year 2. So the question comes, okay, we can blame the front office for not going out and making trades, right? Or keeping guys too long, not getting rid of guys, those type of things. All right. Nothing like children and grandchildren to give you a laugh. But anyhow, we can blame the front office for not going out and getting, a bona fide pitcher in 2023 when the Reds were, or another bat when the Reds were on the cusp, right?
Right there. Yep.
It was too early, right? 2025 is the year. Well, 2025 came and went, and we got in, the playoffs, but we backdoored ourselves in. And I think that's where I blame the front office is, they're content. And I'm talking ownership, and I'm talking, excuse me, Krall. I liked some of Krall's moves. Trade wise and things. I really did.
His smaller moves
are good.
The JJ Bleday signing, that was a good move, but he can't. You go out and ask him to make an impact move. Right, he can't do it.
Well,
he can't.
And I don't know how much if his hands are tied because the Castellanos say this is all you get. Don't come asking more. You have to make it work.
Maybe, but Tampa Bay's GM makes it work. You know what I mean? Like Milwaukee's GM makes it work.
I understand. So that leads to the next thing, right? Is ownership's to blame, front office is to blame, but then the manager and player development people have to be to blame.
They have to.
They have to. I'm sorry.
Chris Valaika should not be anywhere near anybody, not just the Reds. Any baseball player that has ever picked up a bat in Cincinnati, Chris Valaika should not look at them or talk to them because he will screw you up. I don't care if you're a little leaguer, high schooler, college player. Don't listen to a word he says because you're not going to go anywhere in your career. Look, everybody that he's touched in these last 2 years, it's just regressed.
Well, Ellie has
awful.
Improved. Ellie has improved.
Okay, it takes an otherworldly, alien, godlike talent to improve under this dude.
Well, oh yeah. Hey,
Chris Valaika. Did you ever hear of Chris Valaika when he was playing? No, but he's our hitting coach. I have, but I have because he played under Tito, so that's the only reason why he's around.
Right. But here's the thing, though. You look at, best hitters, they have a hard time teaching hitting.
I don't know. Barry Bonds was a pretty good hitting coach. You look at those guys that he had, Yelich, Stanton, and Ozuna.
Well, I will say this, okay?
But I get what you're saying. A lot of the greats do struggle at teaching.
With teaching and coaching, right? Just because they just don't understand the struggles. I think Joey Votto would be
I think he would
here.
Yes.
Because he does a lot of things with the Reds and the youth, especially down in Single A and the rookie league. And they're, it's Joey Votto. I'm going to listen to Joey Votto.
Yeah.
And, and that's, like I'm thinking Ted Williams was another one. He was the manager. People are going to listen to Ted Williams when they say, when he talks hitting, right? Tony Gwynn was another one. They're going to listen to that. Joey Votto's in that realm. Barry Bonds would be in that realm. But Chris Valaika, no. I'm sorry, no. Yes, now he might have some great analytics and data and stuff like that they can use, but for player development, who's the hitting instructor in the minor leagues for us? Do we have someone that is in charge of hitting in the minor leagues.
I have to imagine we do. I mean, you can't be a proper big league team and not have a coordinated.
Well,
I
I mean,
mean,
the Reds, that was the whole drive line.
yeah, I know.
David Bell and Derek
Yeah,
Johnson, right? Now Derek Johnson's in charge of everything, but Derek Johnson is AWOL. He's not back yet, I don't believe. So these players, need to get better. And then I think, the players themselves need to, they're trying. I'm not saying that they're not trying. I think all the players want to win, but when is enough enough? When is somebody going to throw the water coolers out of the dugout because they lost to the
right,
Brewers again because they got
right. When are they
this
going to get mad?
no
Yeah,
hit by a guy by the name of Ben Sprott who had a
right.
5.94 ERA, right? I mean, they can't even get a hit. When is somebody going to, just throw stuff and get mad and take somebody by the shirt collar and say, you got to do better? We don't have
But
that leader.
that's where you miss someone like Votto, because Votto 1 to 2 times a year he was good for that. He would usually go towards the umpires,
Right.
but that was his purpose, was to get the guys fired up.
Right. And
You
Scott
know,
Rowland was
yeah, Scott Rowland was someone like that. Yeah,
Greg Vaughn, it was before your time. Well, yeah, I mean, 99. I mean, he would get in
yeah,
guys' face. Sean Casey talks about it all the time. He's like, yeah, here's this guy who's hitting 49 bombs and stealing 40 bases or 30 bases, diving for things, and he expects us to do the same thing, or else nobody's going to cross Greg Vaughn in the locker room.
right,
Right. Those are the type of leaders that, we need somebody like that. We got all these guys that want to please, and nobody's willing to be the bad guy. Nobody's willing to say, you know what, I've had enough. Now, the one kid who I think might be able to do that is Sal Stewart.
he hasn't seen the failure here long enough yet to do that.
Hasn't. But the one thing that I saw of him last night, he was still in the dugout when everybody else was gone. He was just looking out at the field, just contemplating. That's what it just looked like.
Yeah,
He was just probably pissed off. What can I do better? And that's what it comes to. What can I do better to help this team improve? But with all that said, I mean, if you had to choose one, and I'm asking you, Sam, and I'm asking you, listeners, who's to blame? Who are you picking to blame? If you had to choose one right now, if you could say we're getting rid of everybody and starting fresh, who are you getting rid of? Which group?
front office, 100%. I think they just need to reshape their philosophy. I mean, part of that is, with the Castellinis have to be willing to bend. But I mean, I'm tired of talking about that.
Yeah.
They need an outside hire, not a fire Nick Kroll and promote his underlings.
Right.
Outside hire. I don't care if they're cheap and there's somebody that you can control. It's just new ideas, new ways of thinking. Maybe they can convince the Castellinis to go a different route with some things, or they're able to just make it work.
Yeah.
Maybe they can find somebody that can make it work.
And that's a great point. I mean, the front office is probably, besides the owners,
right, but they're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere, so we can't really fire the owners, even though we would like to. But if the front office clean house, bring in somebody from Tampa Bay, an assistant general manager or somebody, director of player personnel, something like that has, you look at, the Atlanta Braves is another one.
Yeah, the Braves are another one.
Milwaukee
Yeah.
Brewers, for crying out loud. Go rob somebody up there, pay them a little bit more than what they're making there, give them a title, and say, fix this. We want to beat Milwaukee. Fix this. You got carte blanche, fix it. Those type of things. And if you have to get rid of Hunter Green because he can't stay healthy and get a whole bunch of prospects in return, so be it. But it's frustrating. I mean, I agree with you. Front office is probably where we have to go right now. But let's take a look at the fans part of all of this too, right? I got them grouped into 3 categories. I got this blind. I got fans that are loyal, and I'm a loyal fan. I mean, I will always be a Reds fan, and I think you will always be a Reds fan too. But we don't have that blind loyalty, right? And that's the group that, I mean, you can look on Twitter, you can look on this, and they're harping, this and this, but there's no accountability for performances from anybody. They're just like, well, it's sort of like you get it more so with the Bengals, I think, than you do with the Reds, because the Bengals have threatened to move, and it's like, well, we just want an NFL team. We don't care how the Bengals perform. But But this loyalty is seeking, seeping over to the Reds is blind loyalty where there's no accountability for performance. You can be loyal like we are, because I'm not changing my allegiance to any other team. I'm not picking up anybody else. I mean, I'm a Reds, I'm a lifer, but by gosh, I want some heads rolling, and I want them. I want people to say this is not good enough. We promised you a championship, and we haven't delivered it yet. And by gosh, we're cleaning house. Or you know what, Will Benson, hey, you're not performing. You're going back down, which he did. Hey, Ty Stevenson, you haven't performed. We're going to try to trade you at the deadline. Sorry, Hunter Green, you can't stay healthy. What good are you? I'm sorry, you're gone. Lodolo, you got to figure it out, man. You got to figure it out. Suarez, sorry, we loved you your first time around. I don't know what happened this time, but you're out of here. So, the blind loyalty. And then you've got the other side where it's the blow it up group, right? They want to blow up every time something goes bad, right? I mean, it could be, 2 games that they've lost. And next thing you know, fire, sell the team, Bobs, blow it up. It's Crawl sucks, Francona can't manage, yada, 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 yada. And start over, or they'll be complaining about, losing 100 games again because we're starting over, right?
Yeah.
And then you have that everyone else group, my team, but we don't expect anything group, right? It's my team, but yeah, they're the Reds. That's what they do.
Just the fair weather fans,
Yeah, fair weather fans, right?
Maybe they show up to the parade and go down to one game a year, but they're not plugged in
Right.
day to day, game to game. Come August, if the Reds are in first or second place, then maybe they'll watch it. When they first pitch is at 7, but
Yep.
otherwise
Exactly.
they're not following along.
Nope.
And to be honest, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I'm not listening to them day to day. I'm not watching them day to day.
No, I'm not either, unfortunately.
Especially right now. I mean, I've got the World Cup on. I've got other things to do besides watch the Reds suck.
Right. Right. So, in your take, which fan group, what do they need to do differently? I mean, because I will tell you this, and Crawley, who's been on our show here, one of the hosts who's no longer with us, but he was always to the point of saying, the fans need to hold the Castellinis and the Reds or the Bengals, the Browns, responsible. And he goes, because if you were in the media, right? The media is another big part because they just throw up soft.
Yeah, it's softball after softball.
My gosh, because he was like, if we're in New York,
Yeah.
this team's not last. I mean, Castellini's would have been ran out of town.
They would have been ran out of town a long time ago.
Right.
But part of the problem goes back to the fans.
Yeah.
And our media guys, they have to talk to the market. If they acted like the New York radio guys or the Philly or Boston radio guys, they wouldn't have a job.
Right.
If Mo Baker acted like that or Lance McAllister acted like that, they would not be on the radio. We wouldn't be able to listen to them because that's just not what this market dictates. And that goes back to the fans. We have more of the the older West Side loyalty that Cincinnati has. I mean, that's Reds fandom.
Yeah.
I mean, they just follow those guys blindly. 40% of them probably don't even realize Mark Schop's not the owner anymore.
Nah, I would say.
All right, I mean that's a joke, but
I
you get what I'm saying.
Right.
They're the Mark Schott loyalists. They're still hankering for those days, but the Reds can still do no wrong in their eyes, even though they're just constantly wrong.
Well, but that also plays in, the ownership group and the front office plays into that by, hey, anytime, hey, things are going bad, let's bring back a big red machine guy, the 3 that are living.
But we eat it up.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time.
We sell out every time they come back. Yep.
Right. Hey, we got a bobblehead going on. Let's sell out a bobblehead, and so I agree with you.
It could be a Drew Stubbs bobblehead and we'll sell out the freaking ballpark. Right. Yeah.
And, so that's because these fans, they want that bobblehead, right? Half of them could care less about the team. They just want to get those bobbleheads and sell them, right? Collect them or whatever. But as far as, true fans who get frustrated like we do, that doesn't fly. I want you to put a winning product on the team or on the field. And I want your goals, and they probably are, but you don't hear them talk about it. And you don't hear them say, you know what, our goal was to win the National League Central this year. we came up woefully short. We're making changes.
Yeah.
So you may not recognize this team next year. That's the
Yeah.
message.
No. Instead, their goals are to eliminate the peaks and valleys.
Right.
Their goal is to be a 500 ball club.
Right. And
that is their goal.
Exactly.
And that's what they are.
And
that's why I don't think anything's going to change.
No. And I understand, part of that, like to eliminate the peaks and valleys. They don't, but
you want to eliminate the valleys. So on your down year, you're around the 500 team. Right?
Yeah.
It's not your 100 loss team when you suck. You're a 82 and 80 team. You missed the playoffs this year, but next year you're back to competing for the division.
Right.
It's not just a complete, flat line. You still want the peaks.
Yes. Yeah, we want the peaks. We want those 10-game winning streaks,
Yes.
The 13-game winning streaks. We don't want the 10-game
win 5 straight series, do something.
Right. And that's I don't know. It's just, you go into New York and you beat the Yankees 2 of 3. The first game looked horrendous. Their pitcher just flat out. But then the next 2 games, the bats woke up and, we scored a lot of runs.
Yeah. I mean, I will say at least, none of our infielders are playing in the field with lollipops. So
that is true.
At least we have that going for us.
Yeah. Right now.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah. All right. So, we want to hear from you out there. Let us know what your take is on the fans. Are we too loyal? Are we not holding Bob and Nick and Tito and the players responsible, accountable? Let us know. Let us know your thoughts. You can drop them in the comments here at YouTube on Cincy Sports Scene, or you can just, reply here on Apple or Spotify in the comments. And never know, we might read them on air. Before we go to our news and notes, one last thing I do want to talk about with the Reds and this whole blow it up or whatnot. I know a lot of teams, and the Reds included, are in this. They don't want to, make any long-term plays, or they don't want to, lock into anything because the CBA, there's probably going to be a lockout. I mean, and if there's another lockout and it's going to go into start of spring training, you're going to lose. Because baseball is starting to get that momentum back.
That momentum's been going back up the past couple of years.
Yeah, and the World Series was phenomenal this past year.
Yeah.
It was exciting. It was, and then all of a sudden, it's going to crash. Especially. You got multi-millionaires, billionaires fighting over whatever, right? And it's like, we, the fans, we can't go and afford these games. I mean, $40 for just an average seat for one, it's ridiculous. And so, if there is a lockout, depending on how long the lockout is, like I said, if it goes into spring training, into the season, and
we miss games,
it's not going to be good.
No, it's not.
It's not. The fans won't come back. I mean, they won't. You got too much other things and to do.
Well, what might save them just a little bit, especially in Cincinnati, is MLS is switching their schedule. So there's not going to be that competing summer sport, at least in our market.
Right.
So I don't know that it'll affect the Reds a whole lot, but baseball as a whole, it's going to be very hard to come back from. Because for most baseball fans, this will be the second time in their lifetime that there will have been a legitimate work stoppage,
right,
where games are missed.
Yep.
Baseball rebounded pretty well from the first one because they just told everybody to start juicing.
Well, pretty much. And the home runs and yes.
And minus that happening again.
You had the Cal Ripken chase for the record, and then you had Sosa and Sosa McGuire. That brought it back.
It did. It did because it was dead for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And after the strike. Yeah.
I know every foul ball or anything, they were throwing it into the stands. Before, they were just throwing it back to the pitcher. It was like, no, we got to give these, it away. So let's hope that they can figure something out and we have baseball next year because, here in Cincinnati, we'll be hoping that, hey, we made some moves. We're going to be World Series bound, playoff bound. But on other news and notes here, the World Cup has been going on for about 2 weeks now. The USA they made it to round 2. Is that the knockout round? Is that what they call it? Or
well, it's still the group stage.
Group stage.
The US is just they dominated their first 2 games, so they've already won their group.
Right.
which people aren't. FIFA switched up the format for the group play. It used to be the first tiebreaker was goal differential. Now it's head to head. So the head to head is what has allowed the U.S. to already clinch the group because they beat the two teams already that would have a chance at tying them on points.
Okay.
So that's why they've clinched, and that's why Turkey A is now eliminated. Even if they were to beat us and finish on 3 points, they lost to other teams already. So it has led to kind of a dud of a last day here for these. Some of these group stage games aren't going to mean anything. For the U.S., that's great. The 4 players that we have on yellow cards are not going to play, so they won't risk picking up another one and being suspended for the first knockout game. It'll allow Pulisic another game to rest and just recover his calf. And it'll just, give some guys who weren't going to play in the World Cup just a World Cup game to say that they played. But it'll be a good opportunity for those guys. But I mean, the U.S. is looking really good. This is the best I've seen them look.
They looked really good on Friday. Yeah.
I mean, the 2002 when they made it to the quarterfinals, they won some games, but they were sit back, counterattack, get lucky wins.
Right.
Whereas these two, I mean, they dominated from the jump, and I mean, they've looked like one of the best teams in the World Cup.
Well, that's what I was, I know I was listening to another show on TV, and they were, they were like, watching England play to a draw. They're like, I think the United States is better than England. I mean, which it's like, ooh, that's a bold statement, but the way they're playing, at the moment, I would say they probably are better.
Yeah, England's just everywhere. They do this every World Cup. I mean, they're world beaters, and then they put their team together, and they can't figure it out for whatever reason. They just can't. It's very funny.
Well, a lot of egos and
yeah, I mean, because
philosophies and stuff like that. Yeah, right.
They brought in a German manager. They've left actually a lot of good players out of the team because they're trying to build a more complete team, not just an all-star team, and it's still not working for them. So it's funny. I'm glad they're struggling.
So after 2 weeks, who do you see as the favorite or the top 3?
France is always going to be there. Argentina is as well. And Brazil is looking really good right now. They're up 3-0 in Scotland. Those would be the main 3, I would think, for me. Spain's not too far behind, probably in that second tier. And I would put the U.S. in that second tier as well. I don't necessarily think that we're better than Spain, but we've been playing really well. And I know our group was a little on the easy side, but it's not like it's been a cakewalk. In Paraguay, they had the best defense in CONMEBOL in their World Cup qualifying. In the 18 games, they only gave up 10 total goals. So, I mean, that's teams playing Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, teams that can score goals, and they weren't giving them up. And we scored 3. So, I mean,
and then you got to factor in our crowds too.
Our crowd, we have the home field advantage, which is something that we never have when we face other CONCACAF teams.
Right.
When we play Mexico, unless we play in Columbus or Cincinnati, we don't have home field advantage. We play Panama, we play some of these other countries. We just don't have a home field advantage in our own country. But now, I mean, we play the rest of the world. We can actually get that home field advantage, in part because there's just not as many Australians living here, but they're also priced out. Yep. We're used to these ticket prices and they're not. So that'll definitely help.
Speaking of the fans and stuff, this World Cup is making fans pretty famous. Freddie, I mean, he has been all over the place documenting. He was through Ohio.
Yeah, he was in Amish country today.
He was in Amish country, Buc-ee's, all the things. And, that's the beauty of this World Cup. And it's to us Americans, and, I've been fortunate enough to have, because, my mom, your grandma, born and raised in Germany, her family's still there. So when they would come over, they had no concept of how big the United States was.
Yeah.
They thought they could go from, Cincinnati, or we're in Batesville at the time, Batesville to New York to see Niagara Falls. For some reason, they wanted to see Niagara Falls, and then they wanted to drive down to Disney World, all within like a span of 3 days. And Opa was like, no, no, we'll go to New York, and that's it. But they're like, well, but no. But it's pretty cool to see that, and I think us Americans are really enjoying how much these Europeans and just foreigners are coming in and really appreciating what we have here in America versus to what they have. I mean, just going into, a Costco, and they're just like, oh my gosh, they're just staring at, a wall of meat and just like,
Yeah, they don't understand the abundance.
right,
Just yeah, because that's foreign to them.
right. It is very foreign to them. They don't have that. They don't, they
No,
go and
no,
they get what they need for the day. And that's,
right.
and they walk everywhere, right? And
Yeah,
they can't walk, they can't walk from their hotel to the stadium, and crossing, interstate after interstate,
right.
but yeah, so it's just one of those things that it's kind of funny, where it's neat to see that
Yeah.
people are,
Well, especially the non-English speaking foreigners.
yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been making a connection here. I'm going to put it out to our listeners. For years, most people have said if you ask non English speaking countries who their least favorite tourists are, they would say Americans. They would always say Americans are their least favorite. What I've begun to see is I don't believe that to be the case. I believe they hear English and they can't tell the difference in the accents. And it's the Canadians, it's the British, it's the Australians that they actually hate. They just hear English, and because they're only English they're exposed to is American, it's American. Because now they come over here, and the only people that are miserable are the Australians, the Canadians, and the British. That's it. Those are the only three groups of people that are not having the time of their life right now.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
so when you flip it and they say, oh, the Americans are terrible, I don't think it's actually Americans. I think it's them, and they just don't know the accents well enough to distinguish and differentiate between them. That's just my hot take, my hypothesis. And then,
Or
I want to go in on Canada here just for a little bit,
all right, go
because
Canada.
this Canadian niceness and friendliness, I mean, their PR team has put in a shift for the last century. You're done. You can pack it up. Your PR is in the toilet now. You can boo the United States anthem all you want because of the sports rivalry, some of the stuff that's been said, whatever, I can take that. No reason to boo the Bosnian national anthem. Makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely classless. And then in the middle of that, to have thousands of fans making sniper chant towards the Bosnians after all that history, just absolutely despicable. Like I've said in my previous statement, most people would have thought that would have come from the Americans. It doesn't. It comes from the Canadians. Something that us Americans have known for a long time, but hopefully now the rest of the world will actually see it in totality. Americans are not our politicians. Our politicians are not very on the global stage right now. They're very, I don't even know how to put it, they're not very hospitable. Whereas, the American people clearly are. Whereas you get the Canadian government saying, yeah, come on, come on, come on, we all want you here. You show up and you're not having a good time. But everybody everywhere else in the US and in Mexico, everybody's having the time of their life. So I just think it's funny how we're perceived in the English speaking world when in reality it's kind of the rest of the English speaking countries and not
Well,
us.
it's a lot of that, like you were right. A lot of that stems from the political side of
It's
things.
that, and also it's the little brother syndrome too.
Right. It is. It is.
Just the you're inferior to us. This is just sports wise in every single sport. I'm throwing soccer in there as well because England hasn't won a World Cup in anybody's lifetime that can remember them winning a World Cup. So as far as I'm concerned, they're on the same level as we are. So
All right. So let's move on to the NFL, talking about Super Bowls, right? And stuff. The big news, Burrow's comment, I don't know if you caught that. I think it was last week, where he said something like he's comparing this Bengals team to his
to
former
LSU.
team's LSU team. And, I didn't hear the entirety of his comment. I just heard that clip. So I don't know if you heard the entirety. I mean, why did he compare the two? What were the reasonings? I mean, did you read anything or hear
No,
anything?
I didn't really. I just watched kind of the little clip of that. I didn't really pay attention to the bigger interview. But I mean, I would speculate it probably comes from the intensity that he's already seeing. Because if you remember reading the stories from that LSU team, I mean, those practices were intense. They were getting after it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, there was legendary story of Burrow starting a second fight because he didn't get involved in the first fight. Stuff like that. So I would say that it probably stems from that. He's seeing the guys are putting in the work, and are bringing the intensity this early in the offseason. That would be my guess as to what he would mean by that. And then he's also just putting the expectation out there that it's Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's always been the goal. And I think he's soft launching, putting it out there. If that doesn't happen, he's going to have to explore other avenues.
Right. Yep.
Now, part of that's going to be up to him staying healthy. He's got to hold up his end of the bargain.
Yep. He does.
Because as we've seen, if he's not playing, we're not winning. If we're not doing anything.
Right.
So he's. I think he's putting that pressure on himself as well.
Yep. I agree. Because I mean, that was the thing, right? In his 2018 season at LSU, it was up and down roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then 19, it just, blew up. So yeah. But the other big news in the NFL is, the NFL, they don't have to do it. And this year they elected not to hold a supplemental draft. And, your boy, Crowley's boy, Sorsby, left out in the cold. Now there's some rumors that he's going to be suing Texas Tech. He's going to be suing the NFL, going after the Players Association, all this kind of stuff.
He should sue his agent.
Say what?
He should sue his agent. If he's going to sue anybody, he needs to sue his agent.
Well, he needs to, first of all, like the NFL, it's a privilege, right, to be in the
Right.
NFL. Yeah.
Right.
And we don't have to have a supplemental draft. There have been years that they haven't had a supplemental draft. And just because you screwed up and you couldn't gain eligibility, that doesn't mean we have to have it for you.
Right.
So good luck.
Especially for the reason you lost your eligibility.
Exactly. The gambling and,
and I'm glad that they've drawn. We had to draw the line somewhere.
Well,
just as a sporting society, we had to draw it somewhere. And I'm glad it's on sports gambling, on players betting on their own teams. That's been a rule for forever. We see it here in Cincinnati. Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame for crying out loud for it, for stuff he did after he was done playing.
Right.
Like, it was for when he was managing, and he still couldn't get into the Hall of Fame and got banned for it. So I don't care that he did this in college. I hope he never plays a single down in the NFL. We have to draw a line somewhere. And all these people that can't grasp it, like, I'm sorry that you're too dumb to understand the big picture here.
Well, that's
like, you have to draw the line. You just have to.
It's, he did the mortal sin one, bet on his own team. Granted, he said he bet him to win. I never bet on anything that I was playing in. Well, but
I don't care.
I don't care either.
Don't care.
Like,
you bet on your team.
You knew the rules.
Right. Everybody that has ever played sports, even if the highest level you played was T-ball, knows that rule.
Right.
Everybody.
Don't bet on
it. It's not new to anybody on earth.
Well, and the NCAA and every school has, their compliance officers.
Yes.
Download the app on their phones so that if they go to a betting website, it notifies them immediately.
Yes.
What did he do? Well, he had burner phones. He had his cousins. He had his buddies placing his bets for him, right?
That tells you he knows what he was doing was wrong.
Right.
He knows.
He knows what he's doing is wrong. And, I understand, too, that it is an addiction because you get caught up in it and but, doing that, you can't blame that on your mental health.
No.
You can't blame that. Gambling's mental health. It's an addiction. Yes, it is an addiction, but you put yourself into that spot, right? You weren't born with that. You might have been born with the
impulse,
impulse
stuff, the lack of impulse control,
right.
You get the dopamine hit very easily.
And I understand, those kind of things because it was like, for me, it was like an all or nothing type of thing. If I had $20 in my pocket, it was gone, right? When I was in college, it was spent. It wasn't, $20 was a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Yeah, no, I was thinking that's 2 beers now. So, yeah, of course it's spent.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to get, a couple of cases with that back then. But it, so I understand that. But I knew that about me. So I was like, okay, I can't take that step across that line because if I do, I know I'm going all in. So I had the awareness, and he's a smart kid. You're playing quarterback for a major.
Right. You can't be stupid to play quarterback.
You can't be. You can't be. So he knows. He knew. He got caught up in it. And, how much did UC know? I'm going to say they had to know that he was doing something.
I mean, they got the compliance office got the notifications. I mean, they
Right.
sounds like they questioned him about it. He denied it.
Right.
I mean, we know how sports work in this country. That's good enough for them.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
and for those people that don't know, these compliance officers take their job very seriously, probably too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was in college, I tried to be a practice player for UC women's team, and I had to meet with the compliance
Mm-hmm.
officers. And because I wasn't taking full time classes,
You weren't
I was
allowed to do it.
academically, I was not allowed to. I was only taking 2 classes at the time.
Right.
And I mean, they looked into it, like they were very diligent. Like I was not allowed to do anything until I met with the compliance officer. And
Right.
that's for a no name practice player. Where if I did practice, it's not like the NCAA is going to be investigating it and, crashing down on it. So, like
Right.
those guys, they take their job very seriously.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that the compliance guys would have just ignored something like that,
No.
especially at UC. I know how they operate.
Right. So then let's look at college football as a whole now. With this whole thing with Texas Tech and the mess it's creating. You know, this big boosters, NIL. Where
Yeah,
okay.
these backwater college town, lucked into their granddaddy's oil money hicks need to be put in their place, and I'm glad that Cody Campbell guy was put in his place a little bit. I really am. Now, if they could just keep putting him in his place and finally get the dude to shut up for just once, his 15 minutes hopefully is coming to an end here pretty soon. Same with
Yeah.
just Texas Tech as a whole. Hopefully, it comes to an end pretty soon.
As long as they have money,
I mean,
it's
they've got nothing else out there to spend their money on, so I get it. It's not going to dry up anytime soon.
no.
But yeah, I'm kind of tired of these, backwater. The judge ran
Oh,
unopposed and only got 10 votes, and he's able to overthrow the whole NCAA system. I mean, for crying out loud, like Ohio State's not doing that. It's always it's the SEC, it's the Texas schools. It's not anybody that's in a city or that is actually big time. It's these small time pretending they're big time programs that are just throwing loops into the equation. So I'm glad it didn't work out for him. I truly am because I don't know that I could have watched college sports if Sorsby would have been allowed to play. I
yeah, that would have been
genuinely,
tough.
I think I would have just been out.
Yeah, that would have been tough to watch that. But it would have been fun for him to be at Nip.
Yeah,
That would have
that would
been
have been
that would have
fun,
been
but
fun. It would have been a hard ticket to come by.
yes,
Because
it would have
you
been.
know there would have been a lot of
Oh
stuff,
yeah, oh yeah,
a lot of stuff happening there. That might have been a game day type of thing,
yeah,
a college game day. But let's talk real quick about the whispers of realignment again. The Cover Three podcast had put out something that they were trying to do some realignment for football again. Thoughts? I mean, where's this heading? What are we even doing? I mean, is it going to go down to just two teams or two conferences, 20,
yeah.
22 in each or 21 in each, whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean we've had a couple of discussions, how to fix college sports and everything. I think ultimately football just needs to do their own thing. It just split from the rest of the sports, and football does their own thing. Their conferences are their conferences. They can do whatever they want. Let's get back to the regional conferences for everything else, though. I think that's ultimately where we're going to be heading. How that ends up working out, that's down the road. Who all gets into this new football thing? That's down the road. But I'm at the point now where I really don't care what they do. Just leave the rest of the sports out of it and get back to common sense on that front.
Well, but the problem is, if football goes their own way, they're not giving money to the schools, and then there's no
Well,
other
they'll still
sports.
be attached to the schools. I'm saying strictly they make
Mm,
their own conferences. Okay, so UC baseball or UCLA softball doesn't have to be in the Big Ten. They can be in the Pac-12. Pac-12 can come back for softball, but for football, UCLA is still in the Big Ten or whatever new conference they create. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
gotcha now. So okay.
so it's still tied to the
So I
school,
thought I thought you
in
meant that
that
football needed to
respect.
break away completely from the NCAA and say, your semi-pro teams and blah 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 blah.
No, but I do think that is what will end up happening.
Yeah, I do
But
too.
that's not what I would be a proponent for.
No, not at all.
But I do think that is what will end up happening.
All right, we got two more topics to cover, and this time college basketball. The big news happened yesterday. Dusty May apparently is not a Michigan man after all. He's a Dallas man. Who would have thunk it? But going to the Mavericks on a pretty good contract, I guess. Haven't seen the details yet of that, but when the Natty, is this, a lot of people are speculating that this is like a Harbaugh situation where
they're going to come down on Michigan again. He got out at the right time.
Because of the lot of portal tampering.
Yes.
And buying players, right? It's the wild, wild west. Football, wild, wild west. Basketball's slowly catching up to it. So thoughts on, is this going to be the norm with the NILs and coaches wanting to, like, you know what, I don't want to have to deal with this with the NIL type of things, and I'm going to the pros if I have an opportunity? Or is this just one of the things where Dallas was making a reach? Because we've seen there hasn't been too many successful college coaches go to the pros and have a lot of success.
Yeah. I mean, Dallas was looking to start over. They got the number 1 pick last year, turned into Cooper Flagg. Jason Kidd he's, I don't know. I don't know how to describe him as a head coach. He's a floor raiser, but not a ceiling raiser. So he'll make your team better to a point. Very similar to Tom Thibodeau. He makes your team better to a point, but you're never going to have a great team if they're your coach. So I get why Dallas moved on from him. As far as bringing in Dusty May, I mean, Dusty May always seemed like an NBA guy to me, just kind of how he conducted himself in interviews, just listening to him in interviews. And he had an interview, I don't know, a couple months ago where they asked him if Michigan was going to be his last job, and he said it'll be my last college job. I mean, when he said it, that's okay. That's very clearly if an NBA job opens up, he'll consider it.
He's coming to the NBA. Yep.
And now he's in the NBA. He always seemed like a guy who just wanted to do X's and O's, but was good enough at the recruiting to be a good recruiter, right? Whereas, a guy like Todd Golden at Florida, I don't think would be a good NBA coach because I don't think he's that great of a coach. I think he's a great recruiter. So I think those great recruiter types are still going to stay in college because they know they're not going to be successful in the NBA.
Right.
Or in the NFL if it's a football coach.
You look at
right.
Nick Saban, right? I mean, perfect example. I mean, he started out in the NFL with the Browns and Belichick and stuff, and then moved to college, Michigan State, LSU, went to the Dolphins, didn't work out, came back to Bama and recreated that dynasty there for Bama. Yep. But, and he was a heck of a recruiter, but he was also a heck of a coach. I mean,
he was also a heck of a coach, right?
He got his players to play, and he got his players to take accountability, hold each other accountable, and that's what's missing.
And I don't think it's so much the NIL for these coaches. I think it's the portal. They're tired of recruiting their guys.
Yeah,
I think you have to recruit everybody all 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you just do, and that sucks. I mean, coaches don't want to do that.
No, and
that's where I give Matt Painter a lot of credit.
That's what I was going to say.
We've bashed his incoming high school recruiting classes a lot. I know I have. He doesn't always go after the top guys in Indiana because he doesn't want to deal with the one and dones or the guy that's going to potentially leave early. He wants someone that's going to buy into the program, develop, sit as a freshman if needed, maybe even sit as a sophomore too. Stuff like that. He wants those types of guys. If you look at his program, he might have a transfer on the team, and he might have a guy transfer out.
Right.
Like, there's not a lot of movement other than graduating seniors and incoming freshmen. Yeah. So you have to, if you don't like the portal, you kind of have to go that route. But that takes a lot of homework. I mean, that's taken Painter 15, 20 years to build that pipeline with all those Indiana coaches.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like that takes a groundwork, that takes a framework. You can't just go in and develop those relationships instantly and get those kids to stay. Like, I mean,
especially with Izzo.
You know how it is,
right?
With Indiana. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly how it is. I mean, Izzo, I mean, the best thing he said that Indiana did was hire, what was his name? Mike.
Oh, Woodson. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the Davis? Are you talking about Mike Davis?
Yeah, Mike Davis.
Okay.
Because he wouldn't recruit Indiana kids. And he's like, heck yeah, man. We've got like 7 of them on our roster. Heck yeah, I'm coming to Indiana to get this shooter. You better believe it,
Yeah.
Judd Heathcote, Rob Scott Skiles, it's yeah, I mean, I get that. And that's where, Painter has done a phenomenal job as not only having kids stay, believe in the system, believe in your roles, take accountability, believe in the school, right? Go to class, do the things that you have to do to play basketball at Purdue, but develop players. I mean,
He's the best developer in college basketball. I mean, nobody gets worse from him. Everybody, year over year, is always getting better.
And let's go
Everybody.
back to our very first segment with the Reds when we said,
Yeah.
that not very many, great players are good coaches. Painter was not a great player at Purdue. He played at Purdue. I mean, I played against Painter at Purdue when in the Corex and stuff like that. The man was slower
He's
than Benji.
tall and he's smart.
6'5", right? Smart, yeah. And plus, he could just throw the ball up to Glenn Robinson half the time too.
Right.
Glenn,
Yeah. Yeah, that helps.
right? Yeah, it does help. But man, yeah. I mean, he reminds me a little bit. I mean, playing wise, of like Dan Dockich when Dockich played for IU and he guarded Jordan, and how in the world he held him to 7 points was beyond anybody's belief. But that's what Painter. But Painter was very cerebral, right? And he understood what he had to do to be successful.
To even play.
Yeah, I mean, heck, he had to go up against the Fab Five, right? I mean, yeah. If you don't want to look bad, you got to know what you're doing, and he can relay that, right? And that's coaching. It's like, how can you get a player from point A to point B and improve and continue to prove and want to improve and not, hey, I know it all, those kind of things. And I think Painter has done a great job, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it. And the last thing on our agenda tonight is the UC hopes. Calhoun got his roster pretty much set. Thoughts on that?
I mean, I haven't really looked into the roster a whole lot. I mean, it's pretty much everybody's going to be new. I'll probably get more plugged into it, once football's kind of starting to die down, mid-October, late October, really look at the roster and stuff. But I mean, 12 new guys, it's just hard to get the excitement up for me anyways. Not having anybody that's returning. I do like, high school-wise, he's trying to recruit Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which is something that we haven't had here since Cronin left.
Right.
I mean, Brandon and Wes Miller, neither one of them recruited Cincinnati. To be fair, not a whole lot of guys are coming out of Cincinnati. That it's just not a basketball city. But when we do have guys, they can't go to Xavier and they can't leave, which they had been doing. So it is nice to see. He already got the Winton Woods kid to commit.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember his name, but he's going to reclassify, so he'll be joining the class next year coming in. So that's good. He'll be a top 10 player in his class, which is a great addition for UC for next. But that'll be for next year. We'll see what he can make happen with the transfers.
Yep, we will. And like I said, it's early. They're going to be traveling, doing some things in August, and then the real stuff happens here sooner than you think.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going to get back to the Cincinnati basketball, the Bulldog mentality. I think you're going to see them pick teams up 94 feet. They're going to pressure the ball consistently and constantly.
Yeah.
And they're going to really, it is going to be a UC team. They're not going to be able to shoot, but they're going to really use their athleticism to their advantage. So, I mean, under Wes Miller, the guys competed, but part of it was just the guys he was bringing in, can only give you so much. You need, Cronin was great at it. He was great at going into New York and getting kind of those second tier guys and developing them. Kilpatrick was a New York guy. Lance Stevenson was a New York guy. Jacob Evans was a New York guy, I believe. So guys like that come in, kind of have that grittiness to them, and then can develop into really good players, I think is what Calhoun's going to need to do.
Yep, I agree with you. And I think coming from Utah State, he had to develop players there, right? So I think he's got the development piece. He's got the Huggins piece. Fans are going to love him until they that's Cincinnati. Until your first 2-game losing streak.
Yeah, but I think the fans are bought in from the beginning here. I mean, Brandon guys were not bought in.
No,
they weren't. I mean, that was too big of a step coming from NKU up to UC. That was too big of a jump for him, and I don't know that people were all that excited about Miller either.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, it wasn't like Calhoun.
No.
I think we were excited, a young up and comer who was the runner up for the UNC job. We were like, oh, you know what? That's a guy that maybe could work out. It didn't, obviously, but
he was a runner up for a reason.
Right, exactly.
Right, but yeah. All right. Our last thing is our trivia question. We'll make it quick here because we're running. I mean, we haven't been on for about 3 weeks, so I apologize that we are running a little long. We'll try to edit it down a little bit, but I have the trivia question, and it's a baseball trivia question. There have been a total of 6 shortstops who are in the Hall of Fame that has played for only one franchise, or they've only played, for one team their entire career. How many of the 6 can you name?
All right, so Larkin's 1.
You are correct.
Jeter would be 2.
Jeter is 2.
Ozzy?
No.
No, he played for somebody else.
He started out in
Okay.
San Diego.
Okay. Trying to see some recent shortstop Hall of Famers here.
One is a former player for the team that the Reds are playing now.
The Brewers? Sandberg?
No.
No, not Sandberg. He was a Cub. Who was the Brewers guy name? Oh man, I can't. I'm blanking on his name. I should get his name. I can't think of it. What was his name?
His first name is a sidekick.
Robin. Is it Robin? Robin.
Yep.
What's his last name? Is it Yount?
Yep, it's Robin.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Good job.
All right.
Good job.
All right. We got there.
3. You got 3
Somebody
more.
gonna be like Honus Wagner? Is he gonna be in there or something like that?
No,
Okay.
there is one that's
Like way back then.
Yeah, I mean, one you should get. I mean, you were
Ripken. Would Ripken count?
Yeah, Ripken.
Calvin Ripken. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's the one I said you should get.
Yeah.
Out of the rest of them, let me see.
He said 4. There's 2 more.
Yep. And then on, you said this team already. He's there. He's who you think of when you say this team. At least my generation and the generation before me.
I was thinking Cubs.
Yep.
Ernie Banks?
Ernie Banks.
Okay. I was thinking he was second baseman for some reason.
Nope. He was
shortstop.
first.
Okay.
I mean, he was shortstop, and then he moved over to first.
He did. Okay.
End of his career, but
Gotcha. Okay.
And the last one you probably will not. It was before my. Ernie Banks was before my time as well. But
yeah.
New York shortstop back in the 50s and 60s. I think he was the announcer at one time, like a play-by-play announcer, radio announcer for him.
For the Yankees?
For the Yankees. He did a couple of commercials, mattress commercials and stuff.
Oh,
I remember from.
I don't.
Yeah, you won't know this, but it's Phil Rizzuto.
Rizzuto. Okay.
Rizzuto. Yep. So those are the 6 there. Well, you did good. You got 5 out of 6. So I'm proud of you there. Well, that wraps us up for episode number 174. We appreciate you if you made it this far. We really do appreciate you. So go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. If you're listening to it and you want to watch it, hop on over to YouTube. It'll be posted. We're coming to you on a Wednesday night. It'll probably be posted Thursday afternoon sometime. So check us out. Hit that like and subscribe. Grows the channel. If you got any topics you want us to discuss, or if you want to pose a question for us, please do so. You can shoot us a direct message at Cincy Sports Scene on Instagram or at Twitter or on YouTube here, and we'll definitely take those questions and answer them. So for Sam, I'm Dave. Everybody, take care.